with your host, Upper Perkiomen School District Superintendent, Dr. Alan Roche.
Happy New Year and welcome to 2026. So we're back at work in January following a nice winter break. I hope everyone had an enjoyable break and a great start to the new year. January is also School Board Director Recognition Month, so I'd like to say a quick thank you to the board and recognize their time and effort in serving the entire Upper Perk community on the school board. They play an important role in the education of our Upper Perkiomen School District students. And before we jump to our guests for the podcast, I'd like to remind and invite everyone to consider participating in the February 26th Innovation Fair, where we're looking for anyone in the community to share ideas to make our school better. The fair initially started off as a way to save money, reduce expenditures, and increase efficiency, but it has slowly morphed into any ideas to be innovative and see change in the district. Information is available on the website, and we are accepting registrations for a table until February 12th. We hope to have a packed gymnasium of ideas and sharing. And even if you're not interested in sharing your ideas, the entire community is welcome to attend and walk past the tables to see and hear the ideas and presentation. So let's now jump over to our guests. So today is the day that we complete the principal series on the podcast with our fifth of the 5 building principals. Our first guest today is Mr. Frank Flanagan, principal of Upper Perkiomen High School, who has been with the district just under 2 years. Welcome, Mr. Flanagan.
Thank you, Dr. Roche.
So yeah, time flies for sure. It's hard to believe that you're coming up on your 2-year anniversary at Upper Perk. So I'm sure it goes quick, no?
Yeah, it doesn't really feel like 2 years. I was actually just thinking about that over winter break that, we're a couple months away from me hitting that 2-year mark, and it went by very, very quickly. I feel like we got some stuff done, but there's so much more that I want to get done and do with our high school team. But it's been great. It's been awesome. It's been an awesome 2 years. I'm looking forward to the next 2.
Great. So when you think about and reflect over that time, as you just said you did over during winter break, what jumps out as a point of pride or an accomplishment, even big or small, that you're like, yep, that was something that we're proud of at the high school?
Yeah, I think, it's an interesting question because I think there's really two things that are, big for me. And one of them was, our students and our families are amazing. And what I really tried to do when I came here was focus on ways that we can get students more involved in what we do in daily operations, what we do with decisions, how we, decision making that we make, how we integrate their voice into that process. And so we, using things like our student executive board and, allowing students face time with district administrators, with building administrators, with, on a lot of different topics has really, I think, been a success for us and given us perspective that I don't think we really would have had. And, in addition to that, we want to continue to increase academic programming. And I think, 2 of the things that I'm really excited about that we've been able to launch are dual enrollment with Penn State, as well as that partnership, and as well as a partnership with Kutztown University, where our students are able to experience some college credit on campus at different colleges. And that's something that, I'm really passionate about, kind of prepping them for the future and looking at ways we can continue to integrate more of that, as time moves on.
Sure. I thought the initial low-hanging fruit that you could say was the bonfire and vending machines.
So the bonfire and the vending machines from a student and a community standpoint have been amazingly popular, yes. So we have vending machines at UPHS now, and even last night I was hearing, because we didn't have the concessions open for basketball when I was at the high school last night, and everybody was hitting up the vending machines. So everybody's happy to have that. And the bonfire has been a huge win from a community standpoint. It's really helps unify everybody together around our homecoming week, and it's open to everybody in the community. And we're going to continue that tradition that we brought back. We're excited about it. It's a fun experience. And just as a plug for everyone who hasn't been there, who's listening, feel free to come out when we do ours in the fall this year.
So before we go too deep, can you share a little bit about yourself and what led you to pursue a career in education? I know you have a pathway of couple places, and what led you here to Upper Perk?
Yeah, so that's a great question. So I've been this is my 20th year coming up here, and initially when I was in college, I did not want to pursue education. I came in actually, and I was a pre-law major where I was going to, really interested in pursuing law when I graduated, and over the course of my undergrad, I was a history major with a pre-law kind of component with an English minor. I had like a lot of English courses. I was always passionate about that. And then over the summers, I got involved with coaching sports. Because I played as a in high school, and I played and was involved in sports all through. And really developed like a passion for working with kids and helping kind of teach them concepts and things that they could take with them, and kind of being a mentor and advising them on, things that they could, make them better people, things that they could think about for their future. And then, when I got to my senior year in college at Penn State, I went and I actually visited some law schools because I was going through that application process, took the LSATs, and went through the process of maybe going into law. And I sat through some mock trials and some things at different schools, and I envisioned my future ahead of me, like arguing every day, and like literally arguing the whole way through. And
so it's like being a high school principal.
Sort of like being a high school principal now, yeah, a little bit. So I just kind of, and I kept like having this pull like to get involved with teaching and continue to coach and be involved in sports. And so originally I actually got accepted in the Teacher America program initially, but then I decided not to do that, and I went straight from Penn State into a teacher cert program, which was an additional year and a half to get certified. And then after that program, it just kind of like picked up from there. I loved it. I loved being in the classroom. I loved teaching. I taught for 10 years. I taught ELA and humanities, primarily at the high school level. And I coached 3 different sports along the way and did a lot of different roles. I was an instructional aide. I was a class advisor. I just, served as a kind of like a unofficial dean of students for a period of time. We didn't have that position where I was at, but I was doing a lot of that work. And then I got, the idea that I wanted to, take some of the stuff that I thought was really successful in my classroom and apply it to a larger sense to the building, related to, working with students and just student-centered learning and project-based learning and some of the other things that were really successful. And that kind of is the route that led me to where I am today. I mean, I was an assistant principal, and then I, took the plunge and decided, hey, must be fun to be a principal. The position here at Upper Perk really drew me in because, we live in Western Montco. My family's here. We're we live about 10 minutes away from the school. We live in Perk Valley, but we're really close. And I always wanted to be involved and support and serve the families and the students in the area where I live. And all my administration experience up to this point have been a commute. It's been like an hour away, which is fine, which is great and was wonderful. And I had a lot of awesome experiences. But I think being able to kind of make those relationships and have those connections within, the larger community sense where you're living and working and supporting, I think, and trying to help, improve, our students and their future has really been kind of a different feel. And it's been amazing. And it was the best decision I could have made.
Great. Thanks. One of the strengths of, I think, all of our schools, but specifically the high school, are the people that work there. So are there any qualities that you see in those staff members that make it such a positive difference and impact on kids, or is there something you can brag about the staff?
The biggest quality that I can come into me right now immediately would be dedication. I mean, we have a tremendously dedicated staff that is improvement focused. Like they're constantly trying to find a new way to relate to students, to connect with a student who may be struggling. They care immensely about our students. So I think, coupling that dedication with that, charge to care and that empathy that they have, I think, and that passion for their content area, really for their different content areas, because we have all different content specialists, I think really resonates to me. And, having been in the majority of the classrooms in the building multiple times, they are dedicated, they are passionate, and they really, really try to focus on, learning who our students are and figuring out a way to interact with and support them.
So when we have students that graduate and let's say they head off to wherever they are and a couple of years later they think back about Upper Perk or they get an email or something like that, what do you want them to remember about their experience in graduating from Upper Perk and that alumni pride? What do you want them to think about your time as principal when they were there?
Yeah, so I mean that's a great question. I was just saying to my wife the other night about my daughter's in 5th grade and she's leaving elementary school and she's had, like, in her words, my 10-year-old, a magical elementary experience. And I think, any educator's dream, especially me being a building leader at a high school, would be that you would think that your high school experience was, I'm going to use the word, my daughter's word, magical. Like, I want you to go through an experience where you've you've learned some skills, and you've, really at the end of the day, like, you're prepared for your path. It's not really about, for me, it's beyond just getting the diploma. It's beyond you graduating from us. Our job is to make you future ready. We want you to have a passion. We want you to feel like you made connections and had a lot of fun during the way, along the way. I think, I say to our seniors every year, like, I bet you're sitting in front of me when we do our class meeting in the beginning of the year, and you're like, I can't believe that I'm a senior and I'm about to graduate. It went by like that. And I think, I want you to reflect back over when you graduate and say, you know what, I had a good experience. Everybody, people cared. People followed up, and they, and they supported me. And I learned some things that I was interested in, and I got a chance to try different things, and I got a chance to fail, and I was supported when I failed. I'd love them to feel that way about their experience, as well as, hey, it was awesome. I made friends. I have lifelong connections, and, all the other components that I think are key for that.
Right. Okay. Well, before we wrap up, is there a fun fact about you that not everyone might know that you feel comfortable sharing?
Sure. Yeah. So, I actually am a sucker for 80s music, 80s rock and 80s pop even. My wife makes fun of me for it, but I definitely, you can hear me jamming out in the car to, anything from Van Halen or, some of the U2 stuff, and even some Whitney Houston. If that comes on, I'm not opposed to listening to some of that, because I think, some of that stuff I listened to growing up, and I think it just kind of carried over, and I still, I still, have a soft spot for that type of music at this point.
Would you ever, when you're in the building by yourself on winter break, no one else is there, blare that music through the hallways or anything like that?
I don't know if I'd blare it through the hallways. I definitely, if you catch me when nobody else is there, when I'll, like late night or, on break, you're definitely going to hear some different music in my office. So that would be, that would fall under that category. Some other interesting stuff that, because I tend to be like very eclectic with music and, as a individual in general, but, definitely hear some 80s for sure.
Good to know. Thanks for sharing. Any final thoughts? We're going to wrap up now.
No, I just, I'm excited, at the future and what we have ahead of us with the high school. We're really, we're launching more dual enrollment opportunities next year, and we're just excited about the opportunities that are becoming that are fluid, but are also becoming available to our students. So I'm looking forward to, it's been a great 2 years, and I'm looking forward to the next two and what that's going to bring. That's going to bring us here. It's going to be awesome.
Great. Well, thanks so much. Stay tuned for our next guest as we discuss safety and security across Upper Perk. Next up on the Inside Upper Perk Superintendent's View podcast is the district's safety and security coordinator, who always seems to have a smile on his face and is willing to help out anyone at any time. So welcome to Mr. Rodney Blake.
Thanks. I really appreciate being here, and look forward to sitting down with you and discussing some things going on in the district.
Yeah, you know what? Every time I go to the website, I see you on there. You always have a smile on your face. Sometimes you're out directing traffic, or there's a picture of you in the mug club for the student involved with students there. So it's great to see you. And
just like I tell the kids, I'm everywhere.
True.
Always look over your shoulder. I could be there watching.
Yes. So let's start off. Tell us a little bit about yourself and what led you into the field of safety and security, and what led you to Upper Perk? Because I thought at one point you were retired.
I was retired. I retired in May of 21 from the police department after doing 33 years there. It was a great career. Started at the bottom.
Are you that old to have 33 years of work?
I am that old. I started when I was 20. Okay. I graduated high school at 18, and about 19, my parents were like, "What are you doing loafing around still?" And they gave me some suggestions, and I come from a law enforcement family, and they're like, well, you're going to go to the police academy. So, you hear a lot of people saying they get into the job because they want to serve and protect. I was kind of pigeonholed, like, this is what you're going to do if you're not going to do anything else. And
right. If you don't have your own opinion, we're going to put
exactly. That was it. Well, I had their opinion, and it worked out great.
Sure.
And, got involved in the department, and, they paid for my college degree. Ended up retiring with a master's degree and some specialty training, and it was great. I was able to make some useful impacts in the department, implementing body cameras, hiring, some female officers, and changing policy for the better of the community. So, it was a great career. And then, as I retired, I'm sitting around, I'm only 53. What am I going to do? And I had seen that Upper Perk was looking for a safety and security coordinator, and I knew Chief McFadden because he worked in the neighboring department. So I gave him a call, and he's like, this place is a great place to work, and just all the accolades. So I'm like, okay, let me apply. And it was a real eye opener coming from the police field to here, because when you're a police officer, we covered a large high school there. You were constantly getting called there, and you were the bad guy. Here, with
right.
Even though you might write discipline reports, you're kind of coming alongside those students and trying to help them to make better decisions, and you're building those relationships.
Yeah,
so
and those relationships are key. I think you and I have talked about that
it's
before.
Unbelievable. Yeah,
that's great. Well, we're lucky to have you, and we appreciate you being here. So I often hear stories about you and some of your adventures when you're not at work, all sorts of things. So you feel comfortable sharing any hobbies or interests that some people may not know?
Yeah. I don't know if everybody knows this. I'm a closet Deadhead. Followed the Grateful Dead for a long time. I've been out to the Sphere to see Dead and Company.
Okay.
We follow a lot of cover bands, Grateful Dead cover bands. I like going to a lot of concerts. I like riding my motorcycle. I like gardening. Here's a little well-known tip, too, that I have chickens, and I like tending to my chickens. And another odd thing, some people think it's odd, is I collect license plates.
Wow. Wow. Interesting. So as a safety and security coordinator, what are your primary responsibilities, and what might a typical day, if there is one, look like for you?
Yeah, every day is different here, just like in the police department. I will say this, though, sometimes my days here are busier here than the police department. Busy in a good way, helping kids out, going from building to building, trying to solve problems. But typically my day starts at the high school. That's where my office is. Check doors in the morning and then open up and greet all the kids. Sometimes the kids want to know how many days left of school there are. Right now I think there's 101 days. That was too long for them, so I broke it down to Mondays. I think there's 21 Mondays left.
Do you have a calendar that you keep changing every day?
I do have a calendar, yeah. So, or they want to know the joke of the day. So, it's that interaction. But mainly it's for me is to have eyes on everybody that comes in. I'm always, in the back of my mind, I'm always thinking, am I going to miss something, But in that same vein, having eyes, but, a positive, smile and a welcoming hello, because I don't know what someone has been going through that night. And I want the school experience to be a positive experience for them.
Right, and you could be that first smile of the day.
Yep, typically I am standing there at the door, and
right.
Kids are great, so it's I like having that interaction. But then my day might like today, it started after locking the school up and securing it, and the kid coming down, I have to run to my car, so I had to escort him to his car, and then filling out some information, paperwork, and then walking the hallway, bringing a kid to the office. So. Every day is different, and it just, builds from there.
So I assume you need to coordinate time and schedules with the principals, security staff, teachers, students, and families. So how do you accomplish that in terms of coordinating all those things? Because there's so much going on.
Right. I try to carve out certain parts of my day to, follow up with my emails, contacting staff or, like security personnel. I'm constantly, contacting them. Even on the weekends, like, hey, this is the plan for the week. This is what's coming up. It does take a lot. And you have the best laid plans. I'm coming in, I'm going to do X, Y, and Z, and then all of a sudden you come in, and those plans get pushed to the side, and you're handling an incident that you have to deal with. But you always have to go back to that, and I think it's critical to have time management and really dedicate your time to getting things done. And sometimes that's after hours.
Right. Can you talk a little bit about Safe to Say, the Safe to Say program? Because I know you are often a point person, and often I get a call in the middle of the night. As if you don't answer, it comes to me or it comes to Mr. Flanagan. So Safe to Say in general is something that's been out there for a while.
Safe to Say is run by the Attorney General's Office of Pennsylvania. It's a platform that kids, parents, staff can use. It's an anonymous platform where they can call in a tip to the school district. Specifying maybe a specific incident that might be someone in danger or a dangerous situation. Those happen 24/7, as you well know. They happen on weekends at odd times, but I always feel responsible that that you have to answer those calls and sometimes get law enforcement to the right address to follow up with those investigations. And that just doesn't end then with the Safe to Say. For example, you might have a Safe to Say where there's a check the well-being on a weekend. Well, then, we're gearing up with administrative staff. Then how are we going to tackle this Monday morning?
Right. Actually, the last Safe to Say call I got was, I think, New Year's Eve.
New Year's Eve at
It was
10:31.
right, exactly.
Yeah.
Yep. Yeah, that was the one. So since you've been here at Upper Perk, what are some of the security enhancements that have taken place during your time here that has helped make this a safer place for us?
Well, since I first started here, what we've done with safety and security has been leaps and bounds. I just can't stress that enough. Like, nothing is status quo here when it comes to safety. We're always kind of building a layer on every year. So when I first came here, we needed camera upgrades, and slowly but surely we did upgrade those cameras, and some of the cameras in our school have AI capability. The traffic bollards to keep our pedestrians safe. Sometimes looking at how buses come in and out of the district and maybe changing those routes. We tackle that. Having the booth manned by a security officer, and one of the biggest enhancements was having armed security in every school. And I know some people were apprehensive about that, but it's unfortunate that that's the day that we live in. It's unfortunate. I sometimes think it's sad for me to see these elementary school kids practicing armed intruder drills.
Right.
But I know that it has to be done. But to put that on their plate too.
But the key to that is also the relationships that we know are important between the security staff and the students as well at the buildings that are there every day.
Absolutely. Yeah. Yep. So, adding that security staff to every school, that was a huge, improvement. And, we're constantly looking for ways to keep the school district safe.
Right. So as we wrap up our time, do you have any advice or recommendations to the general community, anyone that's listening, and how they can take part in supporting the safety and security at the schools?
Yeah, I'd like to put out there that if anybody has any questions, about, hey, what's the school doing about this, or or have any suggestions, please contact me.
Be careful, we have 250 downloads. You could be getting a lot of emails.
My contact's there on the webpage. But I would say this to anybody listening, that I feel anemic sometimes when I see my colleagues, meaning teachers, administrators, custodians, all those people involved in the district, and how much time they put in investing in our students. Sometimes I think, man, I'm not doing enough compared to what these other people are doing, because it's unbelievable to me as I sit back and watch.
But you weren't official just the other day at the bocce match.
I wasn't official at the bocce match.
I saw you there
correct.
with your official red in.
Yep, red in, green roll.
Green roll, right.
But I will say this to the public, that nothing is swept under the rug here. Meaning, if a problem's brought to the attention of an administrator, they're going to look at this and investigate this to where the case is solved. It's never going to be where, we looked into it and this is good enough. I've worked with these people, and it's not good enough until the case is clear and closed. So nothing's swept under the rug here, and I like that openness of Upper Perk, and it's a great place to work.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, agreed. So thanks for joining me, and as always, it's a pleasure to talk with you. I know we have some additional layers of safety and security that are in discussion moving forward.
Yep.
So maybe you'll have to be the first return guest at some point in the future.
I'd like that.
And
maybe I can bring my singing voice, because this year I'm singing again in Poetry Cafe at the high school.
Yeah.
So.
Are you singing a Grateful Dead song?
No, I think we're singing a Jim Croce song and a Jimmy Buffett song this year.
Okay. All right. Well, if you have any 80s ballads, Mr. Flanagan is a big fan of the 80s. We just learned that
that's great
earlier on the same episode. So,
okay, great.
Yeah, he's a big 80s fan,
all right,
music-wise. All right. Well, thanks again, Mr. Blake. Stay tuned for our final guest on the episode as we get a chance to talk with another new school board member. And up next on this month's podcast is our second of our two new school board members that joined the board in December, Mrs. Monica Oswald. Welcome, Monica, and thank you for joining me today.
No, thanks for having me.
So you're just over a month on the school board, 2 meetings under your belt. How are you feeling about the upcoming 4 years on the term and serving for the board?
I'm looking forward to it. I think I've done a lot of work over the last year as far as coming to committee meetings and board meetings. So I feel like it's not the beginning. I sort of feel like I'm a year in already.
Sure,
So
yeah.
so I am looking forward to the next 4 years.
You definitely
I'm
get a
looking
lot
forward
of
to
attendance at meetings and committees, and
it's I wanted to make sure that if I did get elected, that I was not going to spend my first year getting caught up.
sure.
So I've only have 2 meetings under my belt, but I feel like it's been a year already.
Sure.
So
Good. And hopefully the transition meetings that we had in December, going through our binder, and then the training with Mr. Sultanic, and then an upcoming one on finances will all be helpful to speed
absolutely,
that up. So.
yeah, that was definitely helpful, especially with just the processes of
Sure, yeah.
how the board is run.
Good. Can you share with everyone a little bit about yourself, your connection to the Upper Perk? As I know you were a former employee at some point, and then I hear about a special friend that you bring to school sometimes. So
That's my favorite part.
Great.
Wow. I've been in Upper Perk for over 20 years, so my son's gone through K through, he's in 12th right now. So I started working with the Open Link when he was in kindergarten, so that was some time ago. Then I transitioned to Hereford Elementary, which was so much fun. I loved working there as a paraprofessional, doing lunch and recess. Best time of the day
that's
for the
not
kids.
Paraprofessional is not an easy job at all.
Not during lunch and recess, it's not. But
I don't think it's easy anytime.
no,
but yes,
it's not
I agree.
easy anytime. But
I agree.
but I did enjoy it. That brought us up to COVID. So after COVID, I was not with Hereford anymore. So we adopted a dog, which I think a lot of people did over COVID. She's great temperament. I was home with her, went through a lot of training. She was easy to train. We started fostering dogs because we thought she needed a friend. Turns out she doesn't want a friend. But we did foster a lot of dogs, and that was really, it's hard, but it's enjoyable.
Right.
So after the fostering, kind of, we had some incidents, and we decided we were going to train her to be a therapy dog. Had no idea what was involved in getting her certified
Right.
and getting her trained. But we went through that process, and it was easy. She made it, she has a very good temperament. So we are with Comfort Caring Canines, therapy dog, and Tasha Ruschatz gets dogs to come, she organizes for dogs to come into the high school. So
Right.
that's where we started. I'd love to get into Hereford and the 4-5 Center and at least do,
I know
some
this
visits.
middle school's in process because they reached out to me and asked
Okay.
me to look at policy and making sure we're doing everything we need to do on that
Right.
side of things. What first inspired you to run for the school board? Was there a moment or an issue where it was like, now's my time, now is what I'd like to do?
I don't know that there's anything that inspired me other than my ability to give it 110%. I volunteer with the Open Link currently. I also take Fiji there. She goes and visits the senior center. So I still do a lot of volunteering, which the school board is actually volunteering since we're not paid to do it.
Correct.
So I was approached and asked if that's something that I would be interested in doing. And I have the time, and my son's a senior. So I've been through K through 12. So I thought the experience would be, I thought it would be a good fit for me.
Right. Well, thanks for joining me today. I look forward to working with you and the entire board. Anything else you want to share as we wrap up today?
No, I'm looking forward to it. I've spent the past month going to some basketball games and going to Mrs. Austin's class to listen to her policies and their arguments for, policy change, and the naughty and nice list was a lot of fun. Plus I had Fiji in to the high school and Marlboro over the month. So
Right. Wow, that's great.
I've enjoyed getting out and, interacting with everybody in the community.
Yeah.
So
Well, December's often a little bit of a break, so to speak, after reorg, and then January's ramp right up, and we're downhill now from now till June with meetings and committees and
Right.
all the different functions.
I'm
that are
ready.
going on. Good.
I'm
Glad.
ready.
I'm glad. All right. Well, thanks so much.
Thank
Great
you.
talking with you.
Thanks.